Welcome back to Cartoon Analysis. I am your host Giovanni Presmendes, and in this video I'll be reviewing Season 3, Episode 5, Part 2 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, other known as Rest and Pudding. Let's check it out. After the death of Lekman and the events of Battle for Muni, Moon and the High Commission hold a funeral for him and are mourning over their loss. And Star is watching them while alone in a new black dress we haven't yet seen before. Romulus then comes over to Star and makes a toast next to her to Lekman. After the mourning continues and Romulus moves away again, Star sees Glossaryck in the punch bowl and tries getting him out even though he isn't physically there. Moon sees Star doing this and pushes her aside from everyone else and tries to understand how she feels suffering from losing people through death, and also thinking Star is hallucinating seeing him since Glossaryck is most likely gone for good. But Star refuses to accept that and decides to disobey what Moon told her to do when letting go of someone close, especially if they have passed away. In Star's bathroom after the funeral is her brushing her teeth before bed, but as she tries to leave to her bedroom, she begins seeing Glossaryck again and again. Star then rushes to her bed and tries saying what Moon told her to do while hiding under her covers. Of course, though this doesn't work and leads to her calling Jana for help. Jana tells her that she's being haunted and says Glossaryck may have unfinished business with Star, then goes on to say that he may be bound by an anchor holding him down, which is most likely a belonging. Star tells Jana he didn't have any belongings, but then realizes something and rushes over to her closet. She finds and tells Jana that she had kept the remains of the Book of Spells found in the Monster Temple. Jana then tells Star she has to bury the remains deep underground before time's up, so Star does as she says and hallucinates seeing Glossaryck again, before burying it in a pet cemetery. She stops seeing Glossaryck and returns to her bedroom, checking for if she sees him again in some other way. Star then tries to fall back asleep, but is then scared by seeing the Book of Spells return to her bedroom after she had buried it. She also begins to see Glossaryck again and again and again. Star has had enough and rushes over to her phone, grabs it, and calls Jana, telling her everything that had happened. Jana is upset that she had buried it in the pet cemetery and that is the worst place to put the remains. Star tries to tell her side of the story and how Jana should have told her otherwise before doing it, but then goes on to say she is seeing him in the physical world and this worries Jana, so Star has to bury the remains in a place that has significance. Star knows an exact place to put it and says goodbye to Jana again, and back on Earth where Jana is, we hear in the background Marco asking for who was on the phone. She doesn't tell him and Marco complains to Jackie why there is no point to hang out with Jana. At the Temple of Glossaryck, Star walks up to the main pool of magic and drops the remains in it, but still sees Glossaryck afterward. Star then goes on a rant about Glossaryck but realizes she is sorry for what she has done to him in the past and wants to make peace again with him. Star then accepts his death, he disappears, and she does what her mom had told her to do. Star is grateful for what Glossaryck had done for her in the past, and she begins leaving the temple. But the temple begins shaking, and a widespread of magic spread inside, and Star then notices something that wasn't there before, and aside from her is the remains of the Book of Spells. While Moon and River are eating in the dining hall at the Muni Castle, Moon begins to hear something, and Star barges in by kicking the door open. Star then begins to go on to say what had happened and about the temple, but Moon tries to calm her down to say one thing at a time. And Star does just that, but then brings up Glossaryck and shows a physical form of him to Moon that is covered in magic. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on bell notifications to be notified of whenever I upload a stream. Leave a like and comment down below your thoughts and opinions. Finally, share this with your friends and family to help my community, Team Analyzer, become stronger. I'm your host Giovanni Presmendes, signing off.
She's a princess winning battles through the break of dawn.